Alright, what's up guys? I'm Dustin and this is my channel. If you're new or you've been subscribed for a while, I'll give you a rundown. I got a turbo BRZ and today is about a year and a half of me having the turbo on the car. So I thought it'd be a great idea to give you a rundown on what has been going on with the car, how it's been holding up, and what have I done since I've put the turbo on the car. So what kind of turbo kit is it? It's a Speed by Design's 400X turbo kit version 2. There's a 500X now, and I think there's a 400X version 3 or something like that. I'm not gonna get into that. There's a little bit difference. You can look it up. But anyways, so the car, it has about 47,000 miles on it. It is so close to hitting 50 soon. And I put the turbo kit on the car when I had about 33,000 miles on it. So that's about, let's estimate it, whatever, I don't know specifics, so it's gonna be like 15,000 miles since I've had the turbo kit. And so far, it's been great. The car's been running great. The turbo kit is amazing. For the price that you pay, it is a very good turbo kit, but I'm not really here to sell you on the kit because I didn't get any hookups, nor am I some kind of salesperson for them. But anyways, I really enjoy the turbo kit, and now we're just gonna get into the stuff that I've put on it to kind of equal out the negative parts of having a turboed car. Alright guys, so this is what the turbo kit looks like at this moment, and it didn't always look identical to this, but it hasn't really changed that much. So first thing we're gonna get into is the things that I have changed on it to make it work kind of better. So I did get an oil. This was probably the first mod I got, which was the oil catch can, because once you get forced induction, there's a little bit more oil that goes through the airways intake, and I thought it'd be a good idea to get one so it can catch all the oil. This one I would not recommend. It's not baffled and it doesn't catch everything, but it still does its job pretty well. As you can see, it's pretty full right now, but that might look pretty full, but every time I take some oil, every time I dump it out, it's not even moderately close to being a quarter of a way full. So yeah, but anyways, it still does sort of its job. I would say it catches maybe 60 to 70, or no, I wouldn't even say that. I'd say it catches maybe 50% of the oil, whereas like a baffled one would probably catch close to like 80 or 90%. But yeah, recommend getting an oil catch can once you get a turbo kit. So second thing that I got, which was kind of this was an issue once I got the turbo kit thrown on the car, was that temperatures were rocketing. Oil temperatures, by the way, were going up to like 240, even almost to 250 at moments of just driving on a highway on a hot day. As you can see, I live in California, dry weather, 110 degrees, so it is pretty hot out here, and without even pushing the car a lot, it was getting to 240 just driving around, and then sitting in traffic, it was really not cooling very well, and yeah, it wasn't great. So the second thing I got was an oil cooler. As you can see, it's mounted right there. It's the black thing. It's a Mishimoto oil cooler, and here are the hoses for it with the thermostatic plate. And this thing, I gotta say, is wonderful. It's been doing its job fantastically. I don't think it gets above, it's been lately it's been almost 110 outside all week long, and even with pushing it a little bit, the highest it ever goes is maybe like 210. So it decreased the temperatures of about 30 Fahrenheit, and I think that's wonderful. That's like a perfect spot. 210 is perfect. 240 is pretty much overheating, so it stopped it from overheating. So I highly recommend an oil cooler once you get this kit. third thing that I did, which I didn't really intended to really do anything, I just kind of did it because it looks cool, which is the wrap right here. So this is the real stuff. It's like the Mishimoto heat wrap. It's pretty expensive. It's like 50 bucks for a roll. This is the real thing. And once I took this off, I saw that the turbo kit, even though it has a blanket, was actually burning this piping right here. So once I put this on, I've checked it recently, and it's reflecting it beautifully, and it's not doing any kind of damage to it, but it was getting a little bit black. I don't think it would actually really affect it that much, but eventually over, like, if you want over like a long term, this would probably burn through the piping eventually. So yeah, and I think it helped out, and it doesn't look like there's any more marking on it, and it works beautifully. So, and it looks cool. That's all you gotta do. As long as it looks cool, you gotta do it. The last thing that I had to do because of the turbo kit is get some good tires. Because with whatever it does, 300 to the wheels at this point, and it really struggled to get grip, like to a point where this car was dangerous. So I got myself some 595 RSRRs Federals, and they're the performance tire, track performance autocross tire. So the grip is fantastic, not the greatest in the rain, so you got to get yourself some other kind of tires for the rain, and they work beautifully. You don't need to get these, that's just what I got. They're pretty cheap, but you do need better tires because it is dangerous to drive it without good tires. I drove it with 225s all around. It was Toyos. I don't remember what they were. They weren't the greatest, and I struggled. So yeah, get some good tires. I highly recommend that, because without them, I don't see a point of why you put a turbo kit on a car if you're not going to get any traction. Unless you actually want to go skidding, then you do what you do. But on the street, if you're just driving this around, get some good tires. Alright guys, so hopefully that kind of helped you out to see what kind of supporting mods you need and how well these kind of turbo kits last and how they hold up, and if there's any real problems. It will depend on your car and your engine and kind of what status it was in before you kind of put the turbo kit in, because with these Subaru engines it's kind of hard to tell. They're not always the greatest, even though the FA20 has come a long way since the EJ that's in the STIs. Those are not reliable at all once you start putting mods on the car. But as you can see, I put on a turbo. It's been 15,000 miles, a year and a half, and no problems so far. But you gotta put little mods like the oil cooler and stuff like that on the car to make it last longer. Because turbo kits, as fun as they are, you know, you put on the once you put a mod on a car, that really changes the performance of it, which in this aspect, the car starts with 150 horsepower to the wheels, and you get 300 to the wheels after you put the turbo kit and tune all that. So you're doubling the amount, even though some people are like, oh, 300, that's not a lot, but you gotta think about what you put on the car, how much you added to it, not how much you have in the end. And once you put that kind of horsepower, you know there's gonna be other costs that are gonna come along along the way, because you're adding double the horsepower. And you gotta, when you're buying this kit, you have to don't do a financial mistake of, oh, I saved up 3,000 bucks, I'm gonna go get the kit right now. Because hopefully the wind's not affecting you guys. I apologize if it is, but yeah, you might have 3,000 bucks and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go and get the kit. Don't do that. Don't just, that's all the money you have and just throw it on there. That's how younger people do it. That's kind of how I did it. But now that I kind of grown and seen how the modding world really is, I'm telling you, if you're gonna spend $3,000 on something, have $4,000 to spend on it. Don't just have the $3,000 you need for the kit and go buy it. Have $4,000. Have a good like pillow of money that you can put in the car before you actually get it, because things are gonna come along. It's not always so beautiful where you just buy it, you put it in, and everything just works beautifully. There's gonna be problems. So just have another $1,000 at least on the side that you have to put off the side for the car. And if something comes along, you have to spend that money, you will have it. You won't just have the car sitting in the garage and you getting more money or waiting for more money. So that's my advice to you. That's what I think everybody should get, because there's been times where I had the car just sitting because I didn't get another supporting mod, and once I got it and the hot summers came, it was summer for me. I didn't really have to drive it. I didn't have to go anywhere, school, work, or anything like that. So I just kind of sat there. But if you actually have to use it and you start getting there, you're really hurting the car. So always be prepared to get other supporting mods, because it's not just that easy. But other than that, the turbo kit is fantastic. I highly recommend it. No matter what people say, because some people say it's fake, whatever, rip-off or knockoff. It doesn't really matter. I spent $3,000, I didn't spend $5,000, it might be a knockoff. You know, who cares? It works. It puts the same amount of horsepower on the car as everything else, and as you can see, it's pretty reliable. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I answered some of your questions. And subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!